Been a little while since I recorded a video, but I had something that I had to get done today, so I figured what the heck, I would try out the new studio space and see how it went. So today is going to be making authentic sausage rolls. British authentic sausage rolls. If you notice the accent, you're probably thinking, well, how in the hell do you know anything about authentic? Well, I married a Brit, and she's a pretty good authority on sausage rolls. She certainly likes my sausage, the sausage rolls that I make. So anyhow, I tell you, with COVID and everything else going on, obviously we haven't been able to travel to the UK like we normally would. And one of her first stops getting off the plane was to get a sausage roll. So I was on a mission about a year ago to figure out how to make an authentic sausage roll that she would like and kind of put her back at home. So I did that. Oh man, it was probably 6 or 7 different kind of recipes that I did, all in small batches, and let her try them and see what she liked. And we came up with one, and she says this is pretty darn authentic to when she goes home, so it's pretty close. So this is basically going to be about the meat and the meat filling for the sausage, not as much about the pastry. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to buy puff pastry and use that pre-made before we bake the sausage roll in the oven. So we're going to cheat a little bit, but really, for me anyhow, it's all about the meat. It's all about getting the right seasoning. So today we're going to do exactly that. We're going to make authentic sausage rolls, and we're going to grind our meat from a pork butt, and we're going to put it through the grinder through 2 different dies to get it a nice fine grind. And then with the sausage roll texture, the meat is even finer. It's kind of an emulsified type texture, kind of like a hot dog. I know she'll kill me for saying that, but nevertheless, it kind of is. So I'll then take the ground meat, and I'm going to put that through a food processor to further grind the meat down into that really fine texture. So that's what we plan on doing. I'll share the recipe in the description, and I'll link to a note card in Google Documents so you can download and print that. And so don't worry about recording all the measurements as far as spices. You'll have those when we're done. So I've had a lot of interest in the grinder. A lot of people have asked questions. A lot of people have liked those videos I did with the grinder. So once again, we're going to pull out the Megaforce 3000 series grinder, and you can see that bad boy in action as well. And we'll do 2 grinds as well. And if you watch my chuck roast hamburger video, very similar type of process. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll open the meat. So I have a pork butt. We're starting out with a 7-pound pork butt. This one happens to be from Myers. It does have a bone in it, so we're going to debone it first, and then we're going to cut it up in strips, and we're going to grind it. So let's go ahead and get started with that. All right. So that bone, I will cut that in half with a meat saw, and the dogs will get that, and they will be thrilled with getting that. All right. There's that. So now we're just going to cut this up in strips so we can feed it in the grinder. And if you watch my other videos, this grinder is pretty good of just putting strips. You don't have to chunk it up into cubes or anything. It likes just strips that it can feed in with the auger. So let's just cut this up in strips. Okay. So there we go. We've got that cut up into strips. What we're going to do right now real quick is we're going to weigh it, because the way I have the recipe set up, it's all on weights. So it'll be the base weight will be the meat, and then we'll calculate how much of each of the ingredients we need for the spices. So let me weigh the meat. Okay, so we have 2,700 grams of meat that we're going to grind. Grams just make it a heck of a lot easier, so I use grams. Let's go ahead and get grinding. Once we get it ground, we will measure out our spices, and we'll mix the spices in with the second grind. So let's go ahead and do the first grind. So the first grind will be on a quarter inch die. And let's see if we can see that. So there you go, 1/4 inch die. right there. And that's where we'll start. All right, this is a little loud. I'll let you hear a little bit, but I will go ahead and speed this up, obviously, so we don't have to listen. Okay, we're gonna turn it on high, and we are going to grind. Okay, as I said, a little loud, but there you go. That was what, 2,700 grams, I think we said. I need to remember that because I have to measure out all the spices. So remind me, 2,700 grams, so I don't forget that. All right, so there's the 1/4 inch die. Shit, that didn't take long at all. No problem. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change it over. I'll put the 1/8 inch die on it, and we will go ahead and grind with the 1/8 inch die. And then we'll get it nice and fine, and we'll emulsify it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mix up our spices. I don't want to forget that. And then we'll mix the spices up in this ground meat, and then we'll put it through the grinder with the 1/8 inch head, and that'll help mix the spices in as well. So let's go ahead and get to measuring spices. Okay, so what do we have in this mix? So we have salt, we have nutmeg, black pepper, coriander, parsley. This happens to be our own parsley from the garden, dried. Thyme, and this again is our own thyme that we dried from our herb garden. Sage, same dealio. We dried in our herb garden. And then finally, a little bit of mace. Okay? So that's what we will do. And that's what we will measure out to get started with. All right, let's go ahead and get started measuring spices. So for this, the spices are pretty small in quantities per 1,000 grams is what I'm doing this on. So I have a little small scale that measures to 2 decimal places of a gram. So really, really good for small amounts, especially when you get into curing food and curing salts. Those salts you need very little of, and it's nice to have an accurate measurement. So I think these are like 20 or 30 bucks on Amazon. If you don't use it for cooking, I don't know, you can weigh cocaine or marijuana or something and use it as part of your drug business. I don't know. Anyhow, it's really useful. Okay, let's go ahead and get measuring out. So first thing is 19 grams of kosher salt is what we need. And that's per 1,000 grams. So pretty simple. What I'll do is I'll take 1,000 grams, we had 2,700 grams, so ends up being 2.7 times. So it takes 2.7 1,000 grams to equal 2,700 grams. So I will take all my spice measurements, which I will list per 1,000 grams of meat, and I will multiply all those spice measurements by 2.7, and that will give me the spices that I need. So let's go ahead and do that, and I will use a calculator to do that. So the first one is I need 19 grams of salt. So 19 times 2.7 equals 51.3 grams of salt. So let's go ahead and do that. That's one that you could measure on a normal scale for sure. But let's go ahead. So what do we say? 51.3. 51.3 and 51.36. I think that'll work. Okay, that's great for that. So now what we're going to do is second ingredient. So we got the kosher salt done. The fine black pepper is 1.2 grams. So again, 1.2 times 1.7. 1.2 times 2.7, sorry, not 1.7. 1.2 per 1,000 times 2.7 to get us our 2,700 grams of meat. 3.24 grams of black pepper. So we will tare this. 3.24. And this is where the small scale really helps. All right, 3.24. That smells great. 3.24. This is exciting, isn't it? 3.24. Okay. And 3.24 exactly. That was amazing. All right, and then I'll just continue on. I'll go ahead and do this real quick. So what I'm going to need is 1.2 grams of ground coriander for every 1,000 grams of meat. I'll need 0.9 grams of nutmeg, 0.7 grams of mace, 0.5 grams of dried thyme, 0.4 grams of dried sage, and then 0.7 grams of dried parsley. And something else that's very, very important that you don't forget is you need 250 grams of water per 1,000 grams of meat. And that is what's going to really bind all those proteins and make the mixture stick together really, really well. Because when we grind meat, we expose the proteins in a different way. When we add the water, it can absorb it and it can really have a nice, dense, firm, emulsified meat when we're all done, which will make for an excellent sausage roll. So I'm going to weigh the ingredients out, and then when I'm done with this, we'll mix them in and we'll start grinding. Do you want to tell how authentic my sausages are? Okay, all right, hold on. All right, the wifey comes home, comes down here and laughs at me because I got lights on and I'm talking to myself. But we're making the authentic sausage rolls. And I was explaining that I'm an American, so I don't quite know they're authentic, but I count on you.
Yes, they are very authentic.
Yeah, how close?
Very close.
Yeah?
They're very good sausage rolls.
Okay. So I was telling everybody what you do when you get off the plane.
The first thing I do is find a Greggs in the UK in the airport, if there is one in the airport.
Yeah.
Or at the nearest services after I've picked up my rental.
Okay.
And get half a dozen sausage rolls from Greggs.
So this brings you right back to home.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
And I also told everybody that you like my meat, my sausage, right?
I like your sausage, baby.
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. So there you go. I mean, you know, American barbecuing, making sausage. We have proof now. All right, so there we go. So you can take the recipe with a grain of salt still, but it is pretty good. All right, so there you go. Go on. All right, so spices are all done. They're all mixed. I forgot to bring down from the kitchen upstairs. I forgot to bring down a bowl. So, of course, you've always got these for beer downstairs. So there's never a shortage of red cups. All right, so I kind of mixed that up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we have our ground meat that went through the 1/4 inch grind. And I'm just simply going to mix this in. All right. And I'm going to give it a bit of a turn just to give it a little pre-mix. Okay, so that's mixed up in there. I'm going to turn the grinder on high again. We got the 1/8 inch die that we put in together, and we'll go ahead and we'll grind that. So let's get started. Let's plug it in. See, safety first. See, safety first slowed me down. Anyhow, let's go. That's done. So we have a nice 1/8 inch ground mince there. All right, so now what we're going to do is the last step, which, don't forget this, it's huge, and I have forgotten it before because it is the last step, is to add the water. So again, 250 grams of water for every 1,000 grams of meat. We had 2,700 grams of meat, so we're going to take 250 grams of water times 2.7, and that's what we're going to use for our water. So let's do that. 675, so there's 400. So we'll need another 275. Oh shit, look at that. Hold it. Ah, 280. All right, so there's another 280 to get us to the 675. Okay, I'm quite certain there was someone out there saying, I know how many ounces those cups are, I know how many milliliters they are, and I know how many grams that is, and I knew you weren't going to get all the water in one cup. I knew that too. And I thought about that when I started pouring, and somebody's going to give me shit for that. That's okay, that's quite all right. Okay, so you'll see here, I just wanted to show you because it's kind of an amazing little thing. There's the water, so it's completely waterlogged. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix this up by hand to kind of get it all mixed up together nicely. I'm going to transfer this into the big bowl. Okay, so nice sloppy mess that is. So turn that on. Okay, all right, here we go. Just get down dirty. And just start going. And this is really a fine grind, so this is quite easy. If you have a texture thing, you might want to wear gloves. All right. See, that's starting to mix up pretty well, actually. I've got a little bit more in this tube. I'm just going to grab that so I don't waste it. Okay. All right, and then we'll keep folding it in and get it pretty good. All right. So there we go. That's a good start. And we're even going to see this kind of come together a little more when we put it in the food processor. So see if we can kind of show this. But so it's nice and sticky, which is what we want. Let me see if I can't put some in my hand. You can still see the grind. I just kind of want to show how it's the texture wise. Let me see if that works. Okay, I have this camera on as well, so maybe I can show that. So, and it's getting pretty sticky, so it's good. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to bring the food processor in, and we're going to kind of emulsify this to get it to a really smooth texture. And then we'll have the texture of the sausage roll, which I made this one time and I didn't do that, and I was told that the texture was all wrong. So we're going to add another step for the love of my life. Okay, let me do this. I'll be back. So we got our food processor together. It's pretty standard. It's old. Actually, this thing's pretty old, needs to be replaced, but I've just got the normal kind of food processor blade in it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fill this up, and we'll emulsify some of this. And then we'll look at texture, and then I'll finish it up. All right, so obviously every food processor is going to be different, so just get it to where it's moving the meat around and you can see it circulate the meat and all that sort of thing. And it's doing that. I think you probably can see that. I'll turn it up a little bit more. All right, I'm going to let that go a little bit. All right, let's take a look. Oh yeah. Okay, so what we can see right off the bat here, if I can get this out. All right, you can see right off the bat there, look how sticky that is. So we have definitely emulsified it. You can see how that water has mixed well with the ground meat and the proteins, and this is exactly what we want. We want that to be really sticky like that. Let me see if I can show you the difference here. So there is the one that my thumb's moving. That's the 1/8 inch grind, and that's what we just put through the food processor. So if we do that, we're going to find the ground stuff flops back in there, but the food processor one, pretty sticky. All right, so let's go ahead and move this to here. there's some of you watching and waiting for me to cut myself. I'm not going to do it for fun, because it wouldn't be fun. All right, so let's go ahead and take, since this is the last one, I'll go ahead and take it off. Very nice, huh? So what we're going to do is we're going to roll this into 1-inch logs, and we're going to just kind of stuff it in the pastry, and then you're going to see me roll the pastry, and we'll cut it up into sausage rolls. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean this up a little bit, get my hands back to normal, and then I'll go ahead and we'll show you how we actually make the sausage roll. But there it is. There's the mixture. As you saw from the boss, pretty authentic stuff. Did take us a while to get there, but nevertheless, I think you have the secret, and I'd be really excited to hear what you guys think, those of you that know what an authentic sausage roll is all about. So, all right, let me clean up. I'll come back and we'll actually roll the sausage rolls. Okay, cool. All right, got all that stuff cleaned up. So let's get started on the part that I'm not as familiar with, as far as this ain't my thing. But let's do it anyhow. So puff pastry is what we need to use here. We happen to buy this puff pastry from Meyer. It's a little tough to get, so check whatever local grocery store you have. You may have to check a few to find it, but this is the right stuff. So pre-made, if you're a pastry person, more power to you. And maybe you'll make a video on that for sausage roll pastry. I don't know. This is easy, and this is what we're going to do. So let me show you how this works. I'll do a whole sausage roll piece around this, and then I'll bake them, and I'll show you what they look like for the final product. So let me show you how I do this. If there are pastry people, when I do this, please don't laugh, because it works. The sausage rolls are good. You heard it from the wife. So all right, let's get started. Take this out of the pack. So this stuff is beautiful. So it's in the wax paper, or parchment paper, I guess. And then it just unrolls into a nice little sheet. Now, what I did notice when I started making these was that was quite thick. And when we made them that thick, there was just way too much pastry that was around the sausage roll. So what we're going to do is, you see this? You see this technique? I'm much better at pepperoni, sausage, bruschetta, curing my own hams. This is a departure. I do bake bread. I like baking bread, but pastry is not a thing. It is quite thick. Just take my word for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it out a little bit. Okay. And let me get this so we can see it. There we go. Okay. So let's roll this out just a little bit. All right. And watch the technique. The technique's amazing. All right, so we're going to roll this bad boy out just a little. Make it a little thinner. Let me make sure it's not sticking to the counter so bad I can't get it off. Nope, that's good. The stuff stretches pretty well, so you're going to see when I actually roll the sausage rolls, having its ability to stretch well is good. So you will use a lot of this. It's kind of crazy, but all right. So there we go. That's probably reduced it maybe half, half-ish. You know. I think, of course I do, right? Let me look. You know, I probably have this down to maybe a 1/16, maybe a little more. But what I do is I square it up, okay, just to get me started, and I'll keep my excess as I go, and then I roll it out. I roll it out when I'm at the end. Okay, so there's a start. So this is one way to do it. Having a jerky gun would be awesome, as long as the tip's big enough, and I'm not sure how big the tips of those are. But I'm gonna buy one and try it out. But I stole the wife's piping bag, and we'll use this to fill the rolls. So, I am not finding a pair of scissors, so I will use the knife. So, I'm gonna cut off, oh, I don't know, probably about 1.5 inches or so opening in the bag. And then I'm going to fill said bag with some really sticky stuff. All right, so while that's there, I'm gonna throw the rest of this in the freezer. Not to freeze it, just to keep it cold. All right, so here we go. So the way I have been doing this, that has been working pretty well, is I've been cutting about a 4-inch strip or so, something like that. Something like that, okay? And then what I've been trying to do is to put about a 1.5 inch log-ish down the middle, and you should be able to see this. All right, so let's try this. So maybe this is more like 1 inch log. Guess you can fill it as full as you want. Just control the speed. I think a jerky gun would be easy because this has taken a bit of strength to push it out of here. So like I said, it is some sticky stuff. All right, that's working out all right. I think a jerky gun, like I said, would be ideal. Maybe someday. Okay, so there we go. That should work pretty well, I think. Yeah, looks like you can see that okay. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to roll it up. So what I do is I pick it up kind of in the center, okay? And like I said, it stretches, so I pull it over, and then I just kind of work my way down like that. Pull it over, just like that. All right, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little over half. Then I grab the other side, kind of the same dealio, get it off the counter. Start in the middle, let it overlap, and then just kind of work your way to the end, like so. And like I said, it stretches pretty good. All right, a little glue, a little water on the seam there, just to make it stick together so it doesn't come apart. It's probably a proper way to do this. Give it a little pat like a baby's butt to make it oval. So it looks a little, okay, so cool, there we go. There is the long sausage roll. Now you can decide what you want to do with this as far as length. We typically do a little bit of each. We'll do maybe a 4-inch sausage roll, and then we'll do maybe a 1.5 inch, 2 inch, and we'll make kind of bite size. And we're gonna make probably over 100 today, I would assume, with all the meat that we have. I've got 14 of the puff pastries that I've got ready to go. So that's how many we're gonna do. And then if I have any leftover meat, I'll probably use it for maybe a patty or some sausage links or something like that. So it won't get wasted, but you'll get tired of making that many sausage rolls, I can guarantee you. So there we go, we got that. So now what we need to do is cut them to whatever size you want. So I will cut them just like this with a knife. And there's, I mean, I guess if you were making these for someone other than family, you could have a template for length. Okay, so there's that. and they're ready to go. So what I simply do is I'll take them, put the seam down, put them in a pan. Just a little non-stick silicone mat here on the baking dish. And again, seam down, just like that. Seam down. Okay. And then to make them look really, really cool, use your sharp knife and then put little slits in them. I put this size about 2. Don't go way, way deep. Just pierce the pastry. Nice sharp knife. It's just the weight of the knife, actually. Having a sharp knife is key. Key for everything. All your knives should be sharp. Anyhow, there you go. So there's the slits. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is I have some in the oven, and I'll bring those out here shortly. I'll finish up this sheet. There we go. That was 1 sheet of the puff pastry, and then you saw about inch and a half filling, 4-inch strip rolled up, wet the seam, and then cut some slits so they open up nicely when they bake, and you end up with something along those lines. See there? Yeah. All right. To finish this out, at least as far as making these, I'm going to bake these in the oven at 375 from 35 to 45 minutes. You're going to want them to brown up. They're gonna puff up quite nicely. They're going to be really, really good. So as soon as they get brown, puffed up to your liking, you can go ahead and take them out. You will get obviously a little bit of fat that comes out the ends, but that's okay. All right, there's the masterpieces right there. All right, babe, come on, come give them a try. We gotta see how authentic they are. All right, there you go. So we did these at 375. They probably could have gone 400 because it took a little longer than we thought. So adjust accordingly. Do you remember what gas mark that is?
No. No, without. I have a chart upstairs.
Shit, I was going to look. So for our international friends on gas marks, 1, we're not talking centigrade. 2, we're not talking gas mark because we're American. So the Americans say 375 to 400. For 35, 45 minutes. It's color. I did mention a little bit about temperature. I probed these bad boys, they were 180, so forget the 150 guideline. By the time they brown up, there'll be plenty. All right, let's go ahead and try one. Nice and light. There's the bottom, there's the top. You can see how flaky, which drives me nuts because it gets everywhere. All right.
That I need a fork.
Do you normally eat them hot?
Personally, I eat them cold.
Look at that. All right, so she does complain about proportions of sausage to pastry. So bring it up there. All right, so what do we think?
There should be an equal amount of sausage to pastry.
And there is.
In my opinion.
And there is, right? They're perfect, right?
They're perfect, babe.
All right.
All right.
Give it a whirl. See if she likes these. See if it brings her back home since the rest of the world's all screwed up and we can't go anywhere. They're good? You like my sausage?
I like your sausage.
Good?
I'm going to put your sausage in my mouth.
Nice! She's pervert. Big pervert. All right. Good? Good and flaky? All right. So that's 7 pounds or 2,700 grams of pork that we ground up for this. I think last time we did this, it was about the same size pork butt, and it was like 130 sausage rolls, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
But they were smaller than this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
they were half the size.
Okay. So when you're buying the puff pastry, make sure you can get enough, because we'll probably need about 14, like I said, to probably do all these or something like that. How much are the puff pastry things? Do you know?
This particular brand, which is the one that we ended up liking. Well, you can see that. The brand. I think it was like $2.99, $3.99, something like that.
Okay.
So, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's European bakery style.
Of course it is. The best, of course. Look at that gob full of that. All right.
Oh, good.
So, all right, it's good. So, success. So now I'll be filling this icing bag with meat, making tubes of meat and bacon. I got 2 ovens going, so.
I'll be the official tester.
I see that. Hold on, I need to test one because I haven't tested one yet.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good. I shouldn't talk with your mouth open, but I did. All right. All right, there we go. Authentic
sausage rolls.
Sausage rolls. So,
cheers.
Thanks for watching this crazy shit. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. If you try it, please let me know in the comments. If you like this, please subscribe, click the like, all that jazz. Very much appreciate that. Until next time, let me know what else you might want to see. Oh, just thinking, off the top of my head, I've got crumpets down pretty well. So what other English food? Bangers. I got bangers down. That took me quite a long time to get this figured out anyhow.
Yeah, British banger.
And it's a World War II recipe, so I'm really going back to when meat was expensive and using rusk. What other British things?
I can't. Steak and ale pie.
Ah, yeah, steak and ale pie. Yep, we got
Steak
that
and
one.
ale pie.
We got that one down too. So, doing a lot more of that here because we're not traveling as much, obviously. So hopefully we'll be traveling soon.
It can make a really good cup of tea as well.
That's right. I've been trained.
Talking of.
All right. See ya. Thanks, guys. Adios. There you go.